Well, hello and welcome to another edition of Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham, where Team Needham discusses everything healthcare. I'm your host, Shawn Needham, and this is my wonderful wife, Janet. And we are a little bit late this week because of Memorial Day. So we are doing a quick little video Memorial Day starts off the summer, not officially, but kind of that's when we think about it. So we're going to talk about skin health and that summer body that everybody wants. So, Janet, I'm going to let you start. Talk about some tips. You have beautiful skin. You've always taken great care of it. So tell us what your secrets are.
Well, one of the first things that people don't realize is your skin health comes from your nutrition. And that is something that people that specialize in skincare will tell you. You are what you eat. So a good diet is going to be the first step, and hydration too. That's something that I struggle with a lot, is keeping hydration, and that's going to help your skin out in the outdoors as well. So hydrate well, and I believe in water. I don't necessarily believe we have to have Gatorade. It could be an electrolyte, but I don't go for all the extra little sugars in those drinks. And then finally, coverage. So obviously Shawn can be out in the sun longer than me, and I have to keep.
What are you saying?
Look
at our arms.
Yeah, right.
Oh, my arms. You can't see.
Right. That's enough. But that being said, realistically, my time frame of being out in the sun without coverage is going to be shorter than Shawn's. So we can't change that. That's part of our skin makeup and who we are as individuals. So I've always watched for that, because if I don't, I've paid and I burn, and that anytime you burn, that's damage to your skin. So you don't want to do that. So I think that coverage and getting out of the sun can be also important. So I'm going to let you start adding to that.
Well, first of all, she's a Viking. So Vikings aren't used to being out in the sun. So that's why she's so fair complected, and she has to be more careful than me, who's a Cherokee Indian.
Right?
Yes, I am 1/8 Cherokee Indian. So I can tolerate quite a bit of sun. But that doesn't mean that the sun can't damage my skin. Now let's just talk about the benefits of sun. Sun is very, very important.
Yes.
And being outside and having sunlight is very, very important. There's seasonal affective disorder that happens in the winter, especially in northern latitudes where it's dark many more hours of the day. And sunlight prevents that. So one of the things that sunlight does when it stimulates our skin is it stimulates the production of vitamin D. And vitamin D is a very, very important hormone. Actually, it's classified as a vitamin, but it's actually a hormone. It does a lot of things, including to prevent depression. But it helps our thyroid function. It helps our bones. It helps our immune system. Vitamin D is very, very important. And if we were to sunbathe completely naked outside for 20 minutes, we would produce 20 to 30,000 units of vitamin D. So when you think about dosing vitamin D, when the USRDA, although there's not really a USRDA of vitamin D, it's kind of a recommendation of 400 units a day is super small and like spitting in the wind. So most patients need between 5,000 and 10,000 units a day. But what else does the sunlight do? Many things we don't know, but we know it stimulates neurotransmitters, dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, to help us feel better. So that's why sunlight is important. But we do need to protect our skin, especially if you're lighter complected. One thing is that we can cover up. So here, you will not believe, if you put a hat on and the temperature of your body feels like it goes down like 10 degrees. I'm serious. The wider the brim, the better. So that's going to keep the sun off your neck, which is very, very difficult to do. That's where the most exposure from the sun happens, is on our neck. So I'm wearing a wide brim hat. Look at what people did years and years ago that worked outside. Even now, you look at people that normally work outside, what do? They wear long sleeves and they wear a wide brim hat. So that is to protect themselves from the sun. It's actually cooler that way. It's not hotter. It's actually cooler. So, but there are some, like Janet said about diet, that those are important things to protect our skin. Also, if we don't have the right amount of vitamin C and the right amount of vitamin A, antioxidants in our diet to help help with healthy skin and to help with free radical damage and all the oxidation that happens in the environment, including the sunlight, then we're not going to, our skin's not going to be as healthy. And there are products too that you can put on your skin. Vitamin C topically is a great way to keep your skin healthy. Hyaluronic acid. Janet talked about hydration. Hyaluronic acid will actually help pull water into your skin. It's a topical, in a topical formulation, it helps pull water in your skin. And what else? Vitamin A.
Right. And then finally, too, if we want to jump into what would you use if you needed to use for a sunblock, and I like things that have zinc oxide in them. It really is a better product, I think, than all the other products out there that are being sold. And there's no link to any cancer of using an old product. It's like the oldest thing out there. Zinc oxide is great. I mean, when I was growing up and the kids were going to the pool, you'd always see the lifeguards with their zinc oxide on their face and the lines, and it's safe and it's not irritating to the skin. So I would recommend that over some other products.
Well, like the PABA-based products,
Yep.
Which actually are aromatic benzene rings, which actually absorb UV light. There has been some link to them with some being toxic and possibly causing cancer. I think the mineral-based ones are good. Don't forget about zinc oxide. So zinc oxide does have the white. It will, like Janet said, will make your face white. But don't forget about titanium dioxide.
That's true too.
Now, there are some people that think titanium dioxide can be toxic, but titanium dioxide is actually brown. So a lot of skincare products, sunblock products, can have a little bit of zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, and it can actually match your skin tone a little bit better. So both those are mineral based. I like them, and they're pretty much, nothing's waterproof, but they're pretty resistant to water and sweating. You have to probably apply it, throughout the day possibly, but depending on your skin type.
And also, one of the things that I've always done throughout time is I apply my sunscreen before going outside. So if you know you're going to be outside, that is something I would do. And I did that with my kids too. So it's not like you just start applying it when you're out in the sun, because that kind of is behind the clock a little bit. So put it on before you go. And sometimes that helps too with coverage, so you don't miss something as well. Because the worst thing for me is one spot that didn't get covered, and then everything else looks fine, but you missed a spot on your shoulder or something and you get burned. So put it on prior to your activity. And like Shawn said, reapply. And, common sense says too, there's times where you got to cover up. The sunscreen's over. You got to get shade, or you got to cover up. So
use sleeves, long sleeves, hats, things like that. What else can I say about our skin? What else can you say you want to add about your skin?
Well, as a mom, I always think of skin types, and we talked about zinc oxide. So a lot of the products that are available for small children and babies are ones that are going to have more of those bases versus the other. They have them in sticks, they have them in lotions. But those are the ones I would recommend for small children, because then you're not worried about all the other chemicals that would be in there for their skin. And my kids had pretty sensitive skin, and they did well with them. So.
And don't they have it in a spray too with zinc oxide?
It's a spray, but the problem that I have with sprays is you are using an alcohol in there, and it's great for like fast, but you might be a little sensitive to that. So they are available, and they are very convenient, especially when you're traveling and with your kids. But I don't think that is the best coverage to start with. It might be to follow up with.
Yeah. And remember that those sunscreens, like the titanium dioxide and the zinc oxide, they are hygroscopic, which means they absorb water out of your skin. So they are very drying to your skin. So, make sure that you are well hydrated, and even afterwards, use some kind of hyaluronic acid on your skin to bring that moisture back into your skin. Janet, let's talk about summer body. When Memorial Day comes around, you always hear this stuff on social media come out about, are you ready to get that summer body? Well, let me just tell you, summer is officially 3 weeks away or something. And if you're waiting until Memorial Day to get your summer body, it ain't going to happen. you need to really start thinking about your summer body in June and even before.
I would say January.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant
Yeah.
January. We're in June or almost. I meant January. Yeah, you need to really start thinking about the first of the year in January. Depending on how much, what your goals are, and if you want to lose weight or you want to just tone up, you really need to start thinking about it months in advance, because you can't get your summer body in the summer by starting out.
It doesn't mean you can't start.
Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, it's never too late to start.
Right. But
and I guess it depends on what your definition of a summer body is and what your goals are. So here are some tips though. Realistically, you really don't want to lose much of that. I mean, this can vary, and the weight you're going to see a video that we're going to release here in a couple weeks, maybe in a few days, about optimal weight versus optimal body composition. And there's a big difference between weight and body composition, optimal weight and optimal body composition. So, but realistically, if you're using a scale as a metric, you can't lose realistically much more than 1.5 to 2 pounds of fat a week. Now, that depends on how much you're starting out at. But if in the end, you can only, after you've lost a lot of initial weight, you can probably only lose 1.5 to 2 pounds of fat a week. You were going to say something?
Yeah. So many times as we're scrolling through social media, we'll see these, I lost 100 pounds in X amount of days, and they show a picture of before and after. Beware.
Yeah.
There's nothing easy about that. Good nutrition trumps everything, and that includes, the right nutrients that you need to stay full and be able to stay on that diet. So if somebody's telling you that you're going to lose 100 pounds in 10 days or something ridiculous, no, but I mean, you get the point. Yeah. There's so many things out there, whether it would be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. And don't fall for that. It's a steady process and it's a commitment. And I think it's easier if you are maintaining and losing at a healthy way, because then it becomes more of a lifestyle rather than just a yo-yo thing. Because it's unfortunate that when you lose and gain that weight back and forth and yo-yo back and forth, that is very stressful on your body overall. So you don't want to do that. So start out early, start out slow, find the goals that you want to have and stick to it. And obviously there's going to be some ups and downs. We realize that that's part of being human, but if you have a realistic goal, it's easier to get back to.
Yeah. And, realize that there is no quick fix when it comes to weight loss. I mean, we can lose weight really fast if we want to. I remember during wrestling in high school, I lost 11 pounds in 36 hours one time. I came in at 159 Monday morning, and I had to wrestle at Tuesday night at 148. Was it good for me? Heck no. I was dehydrated. I didn't eat anything. I was, but I gained a lot of that weight back, obviously, too, when I gorged myself afterwards. So it is like Janet says, you have to change your lifestyle, and losing weight slower makes you do that. And also it decreases the chance of you gaining all the weight back right after you meet your goal, whatever that is. And one thing that helps with me, and I think Janet can attest to this, is eat your meat first and focus on meat, focus on protein, and you will do really, really well. I don't know how many times I've really craved bread or craved, potatoes or anything like that. And I eat my meat first. And next thing you know, I don't have any bread. I don't have any potatoes. I'm not necessarily saying bread and potatoes is bad. I know there's a lot of people out there that are, totally pro keto, and they're anti-bread, they're anti carb anything. And I think we are omnivores. We're not carnivores. So I think it is good to have some vegetables and fruit. But I think ultimately, if we stress meat, I think we'll do a lot better off in our diets.
I agree. And as active as you can be is helpful too. And then, with travel and activities, there's always the pack the snack. Well, Shawn and I pack fresh food. So it's his yogurt, his berries, cheese, meat, anything. We have coolers. It's better than grabbing a candy bar at the store when you're filling up your gas and you're hungry, because everybody gets there, right? So plan ahead. I think planning has been very helpful as choosing what snacks you're going to take with you. We pack our beverages, we pack our snacks, and we keep them as close to nature and as healthy as we can, because that seems to satisfy versus driving through the drive-through.
Yeah, on our last trip, we've done this many times before. We just cook up a whole bunch of meat before we travel, and that way we can eat it instead of eating out. Not only saves money, but it actually saves. It's a lot healthier because you know exactly what you're eating. It's a lot more convenient too, so you don't spend all your time eating out all the time. So, and I will say this too, is that Jan and I do exercise a lot, but one of the things is that when people talk to us, they say, "Oh, well, to be in the shape you guys are in, you must exercise a lot." And I just don't want to exercise that much, and that's just absolutely not true. Exercise is very, very good and very important, but 80% of looking like you're fit and in shape is diet. And you cannot exercise your way out of a bad diet.
No.
I've tried. You just can't. If you are eating crappy, I don't care if you're riding your bike 15 hours a week. If you're eating crappy, it's going to show. And you're not only are you not going to perform optimally, but your body's not going to look optimal either.
And you don't feel as good.
No.
You don't feel as good. So, yeah.
So, what are some tips about health? Other tips about healthy eating, Janet?
Well, I think too, one of the things that Shawn and I have implemented for ourselves is, as we alluded to as we were traveling, the same thing happens in my pantry. The less processed foods I have and the more fresh, closer to the earth, I think it's better. And like Shawn said, start with your protein and then add to it, because I do like variety, and I don't believe we're supposed to just eat one thing over and over again. So I like to change that up. But so my refrigerator is really what we're going to eat from versus the cabinet or the pantry. There's a few things in there that we might use, but majority of the food is fresh. And I know that people say fresh food is expensive, but pay now or you'll pay tomorrow. And I seriously mean that. You either eat healthy or later down the road, you're going to pay for the choices you've made. And you can't beat Mother Nature. You can't. There's so much more to the nutrients in real food that is not given to us, or we don't dig into enough to realize that those vitamins and nutrients that are in whole foods from the earth are far better for us than anything you can get out of a can or a shelf.
Yeah, even if it's vitamin enriched.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, there's something to be said about, either pay the farmer now or pay the doctor later. But I think there's a big argument to be made that not only long-term is eating healthy a lot less expensive than eating fast food and processed foods, but I think even in the short term it is.
Oh, sure.
Let's just give an example. Let's do a pound of sausage that if you buy from your local butcher, you're talking a few dollars. Pound of sausage and let's say 4 eggs. That's a very common meal for Janet and I. And yeah, we do it more than just breakfast. We do it for dinner. We do it for lunch sometimes. So a half pound of sausage and 2 eggs would fill both of us up for sure. And you're talking, it's a few dollars is all. So very healthy and very inexpensive. I dare anybody to really try to go out to McDonald's or, name your fast food chain and eat for $2. You can't. And even if you say they have a special today, a hamburger for $1 or whatever, nobody ever just orders a hamburger. They get the large Diet Coke, they supersize it, and they get a fry, and then they get some kind of dessert. And next thing you know, you're spending, $15 and you've got 2,000 calories.
Yeah. So remember, Shawn alluded to the Diet Coke, and I love Diet Coke. But here's the thing about summer. You can't hydrate yourself with soda, and you can't hydrate yourself with alcohol and really be good for you. You really need water. And like I said before, we do use, I like Noon, and you like which product?
It's called Element, LMNT. Noon is probably a little bit more convenient because it comes in these little tubes with like 10 tablets.
Mhm.
Drop it in a thing of water. It's got your electrolytes. I use it when I race. Element has more sodium, has a gram of sodium in it. LMNT. I actually interviewed Rob Wolf. He was the co-founder of that nutrient product line. Yeah. And you can go back and look at that podcast. He talks about nutrition and hydration a lot, and why we need extra minerals in our diet usually, because we don't get them elsewhere. And one of the reasons is that he said is, is probably because we're not eating enough fresh food. So if you eat a good diet, you probably don't need to supplement with minerals, possibly. Now, I will say on hot days and when I'm racing, I do I do what do I
use?
Yeah, I do use electrolytes in my water bottles, because water there's salt. Electrolytes are salt, essentially. They're salts, and water follows salt. So if you have extra salt, it will pull water into your body, which is what you need it when you're sweating a lot. So what else, Janet? What about, you talked about snacks? We talked about snacks, and I wanted to clarify what Janet talked about about snacks. Is that, I saw a post the other day in social media that the average American eats 16 times a day. Now, I don't know how they qualify that, but that seemed like a lot. But then again, I mean, with, 3 major meals and, 4 or 5 little snacks here and there, it could add up pretty fast. I don't think our body was necessarily made to be eating all the time. We're not grazing animals. You look at a cow, you look at a deer, you look at alpacas. Janet and I were in Sisters, Oregon, where they have alpaca farms, and they're constantly eating. They're a grazing animal. But when you look at either omnivores or carnivores, we're omnivores as humans. You look at carnivores. Dogs aren't omnivores, although they're classified as carnivores. Cats are obligate carnivores. How often do you see a lion eat? Yeah. A lion eats every 3 days or something, after it hunts. So I think as humans, we'd be better off if we're not snacking all the time and we're not eating all the time.
Right.
Janet and I focus on, usually during the week when we're not exercising heavily, we do 1 meal a day. And on weekends when we're exercising more, we usually do 2 meals a day. We usually skip breakfast. We have maybe a late brunch. And then a dinner. We don't usually eat breakfast. I think that fast from the night until the next day is pretty important.
Probably for adults.
Well, of course.
Yeah. But speaking from the mom side, when you are packing for your children, because they do, as they're growing, need, but they don't need the box stuff. And I know it's convenient, but really fresh fruit and vegetables and cheese and meat are just as easy to pack in your cooler on summer travel than anything else as well. So you just got to plan ahead. And I agree with Shawn for adults, because, many times we, overeat when we're snacking. And the only time that we kind of fall into that might be when Shawn's had a big race or something. But for packing for travel for families, I think leave the boxes at the store, shop the perimeter. The kids will like it just as well.
Well, and a little phrase that I like to say is, if it doesn't rot, don't eat it. You think about cheese, you think about yogurt, you think about meat. If you leave it out, at room temperature for very long, it's going to rot, and it's either going to oxidize and go bad. It's going to grow mold. It's going to grow bacteria, get rancid. Whereas, processed food doesn't do that, because it has so many preservatives in it. Right. So how is our body going to digest it very well if fungus and bacteria won't even grow on it? Right?
I agree. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Fresher the better.
All right. So Janet, how do you want to, as we wrap this podcast up, how do you want to wrap this up, preparing people for summer?
Well, plan ahead for one. I think that's one of the biggest tips I can give people as far as taking care of your skin, your health, your diet, all of that is just preparing a little bit ahead of time. So it's not as hard as you think. It just takes a few more steps prior to, but you're going to feel better and have more fun. And really, when we are traveling, we save a lot of time too on our trips because we're not stopping at a restaurant or a fast food place. So, there's that. And then have fun. I mean, we look forward to summer. Just don't blow your diet and hang on to your exercise routines as well.
And I wanted to piggyback off the soda and alcohol. So, soda has caffeine in it. Most of them have caffeine in it. And caffeine is a diuretic, so it does dehydrate us. Same thing with alcohol. Alcohol inhibits vasopressin, which will dehydrate us also. So those don't count as hydration. So you have to be careful for every alcoholic drink you have to, have water to back that up in order to stay hydrated. Now, another thing is too, another tip is that, we talk often about not drinking your calories. And if you are really, really wanting to lose weight and you're struggling with your weight and you are drinking 2 or 3 drinks a day, that's anywhere from 300 to 600 calories a day, depending on the drink. And it makes it very, very difficult to lose weight and get that summer body when you are drinking alcohol. So stop drinking your calories. And not only does alcohol have calories in it, and that's how it defeats us from losing weight, but it also is a toxin. Alcohol is a toxin. So it puts stresses on our body that makes it more difficult for us to be in optimal health. Janet, is that it?
That's it. Have a great summer.
Well, we thank you for tuning in to Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham. Tune in tomorrow when we have Dr. Heather Gosling on. She's going to be talking about how she has been treating vaccine-injured patients. You don't want to miss out on that. Thank you for tuning in to Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham. Thank you.